Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
And it's Thursday, or Tailgate Like a Champion. Everybody knows who's going to be on later. Adrienne, Tim, Dan's not going to be able to make it tonight with his tailgate stories. And Hype Man Harry will be on here in a little bit. Until then, you just got your two favorites, Terry and Rob.
That's right.
You know one of the things we haven't been doing, Rob?
Know what?
And we have to fix this, so we're going to have to work on this. Okay? We haven't been giving our tagline out there lately on our podcast.
Yeah?
You know what? Remember our tagline?
No.
Oh, my God. See, this is what I have to work with, guys. We're not affiliated.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we're not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma, but we do have eligibility left. That's our tagline. We haven't been using it.
I'm going to remember that.
Yeah. So the next time on the next podcast when we come up, when I say we're not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma, you say,
but we do have eligibility left.
There you go. See? Now, so everybody understands that. One of these days, maybe Lincoln will come and give us an official visit. And
yeah, I'm not holding my breath or anything.
The other thing is, the guys, we're trying to get all this stuff out of the way before we get into anything is, if you have an iPhone, iPad, whatever it is, get on there, subscribe to us on iTunes. We're available for free. Subscribe to it. It'll download to your playlist on your phone. It'll alert you when we have a new one up. You can do the same with Google Play Music. If you're a Google Play person, subscribe to it. I think they call it follow, but it'll do the same thing. It'll send you an alert when a new podcast comes out, and Spotify is the same way. Those are our three big ones. And then we also have SoundCloud, and I'm not still sure how that works. If it alerts you, it kind of looks more like a Facebook type thing, but you can listen to it online or on your phone as well. And then we have YouTube, and you can listen to the podcast on YouTube. If you're at work and you can't do it, on your phone or something like that, you can put it on YouTube and it's audio. But also tomorrow night, and it'll come out on Friday, we're going to start working on some YouTube videos. So subscribe to that channel too.
I better comb my hair then.
Yep, all two of them.
Both of them.
Well, Rob, let's get this out of the way.
Okay.
Because everybody's been talking about it since last night.
Oh, I thought we were going somewhere.
Where'd you think we were going?
I love you too, Terry.
Thanks, Rob. Spencer Rattler. It came out last night, as everybody knows, that he has been suspended from extracurricular activities at Pinnacle High School. Rob, what's your takes on it? We posted on Twitter. You saw our post on Twitter, right?
Probably not.
Okay. See, once again, here's what I'm dealing with.
You go ahead, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay. Well, I put it out there as our takes.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know you. We're like,
right.
Almost twin brothers.
You don't know me.
Our take, and if you didn't see it on Twitter, why don't you follow us on Twitter, number one? So we're going to give you our takes, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, go find us on Twitter. We're at Sooner FB Fans. Anyway, our take on the Spencer Rattler news. Number one, he's a kid and he broke a school rule.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it doesn't matter what that rule was. Number three, his parents are okay with the school decision. Number four, hats off to Pinnacle High School and his parents. Number five, I just realized I had 2 4s on there. Number five, the rest of the season that he is suspended for is one game, then the playoffs. Okay, so he can't play in the playoffs either. So it's not like he's missing half the season. Number 6, he's still coming to OU. That's it. That's all we need to know.
Well, there's one more little point that I think we could make here.
Shoot.
We don't have to worry about him getting hurt.
Yeah, we don't have to worry.
I'm sorry. Is that bad?
No, that's not bad.
Okay,
That's
right.
We don't have to worry about him getting hurt. From everything I read, and I read RJ's article on 24/7. I read Brandon's drums article on 24/7. I watched James Hill's Patreon today. They all basically said the same thing, and those are kind of our go-to sources, especially Brandon and James. They know what it is, and they're not going to say. A lot of people are like, well, why would you say that? That's their job. Okay, their job is to pique interest. I don't have an issue with them saying, I got the story, click here to find out more. That's what their job is.
Right.
But their story was, hey, he's suspended. They told us what it was. It was a school rule. Okay. We're not even going to discuss, I'm sure, Rob, you don't want to either, the rumors that are going around. It does not matter.
No, because
it's none of our business.
Well, for starters, I mean, nobody knows, so you just really be damaging the kid.
Right.
Especially, if it was bad. So, yeah, that's not something we want to engage in, I don't think.
And that's what I meant by that doesn't matter what the rule was. It's none of our business is what I mean by that.
It could have been that he was just too awesome, and so they're like, hey, you can't be this awesome, so you're suspended.
Yeah, it's
possible.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, but his parents said, he's a 3.8, 3.9 student.
Right.
He's never been in trouble.
He's not a dummy.
Yeah, he's never been in trouble. He broke a code of conduct rule.
Yep.
And this is the price he has to pay for it. And again, hats off to his parents, because from what I read and all three of these guys kind of linked it all to, that what happened at the Pinnacle game last week that he was set out for, that apparently this was set in motion and they were still discussing options with the school and the school district. Not really options, but they were discussing it, and the school left it up to them at that point what to say for Friday night's game, because it was a national televised game.
Right.
So they said he had a strained MCL because they were still in discussions from what I gathered.
Well, I'm sure they were hoping that he wouldn't be dismissed from the team.
Right, because he practiced on Wednesday, and then he couldn't do walkthroughs on Thursday, and he couldn't play. So I'm guessing from dealing with schools and everything else is that initially it was, until we sit down and talk about this, he's not playing.
Right.
But
before we tell everybody he's not playing because of this,
right?
Let's
it's up to you. Left it up to the family.
Not make sure it's that he's not going to play.
And again, what this tells me though, Rob, about this kid and his family and the character, because from what I read, they're not arguing the point. I think they're embarrassed from what I could read, and even Spencer is embarrassed, whatever it was. They understand this is a consequence. They've been in contact with Lincoln Riley. Apparently there's no issue there.
Yeah, there's no issue on this end, apparently.
Yeah. And he still, his statement was, I still intend, to get ready and play in the All-Star game. I think it's the Army, one of the All-Star. There's so many of them. The All-Star game. And
we're getting a lot of people announcing at the Army game.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get a few people there.
But he's still playing in the All-Star game, and he's he is looking forward to his career at Oklahoma. That's all we need to know. That's it.
Well, there's one other little point there, Terry.
Okay, so the second point, Rob.
He is the most talented athlete to ever come out of the state of Arizona, according to Arizona's somebody.
Yeah, the Arizona paper. He's the first quarterback to throw for 11,000 yards. Yeah, over 11,000. That's a hunch.
That's pretty impressive, right?
Yep. So, I know everybody wants to know. There's all the speculations. It's none of our business. It was a school. Apparently it was a school thing. The school said this is against the code of conduct. Every school now has a no tolerance policy on everything.
Don't you think probably Lincoln knows though?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, he probably knows, because if it's a situation where he was cooking meth down in the school's basement or something, Lincoln probably would have the right to say,
I don't think if
well, number one, it wasn't against the law.
No, it wasn't against the law.
It wasn't egregious in nature. There's no charges filed.
Right.
He's not been suspended from school.
No, he's just been suspended from extracurricular activities.
Whatever it was, there's probably a whole lot of dudes out there to be like, what?
Yeah.
But then there's probably a whole lot of chicks out there, no offense to the ladies if you're on the other side of the fence, but they would be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, but that's just what it is. I mean, there's no need for us to speculate. It doesn't damage him coming to Oklahoma. It's a simple fact that schools now have a no tolerance policy. My kids ran into it. Simple things. I mean, David, my oldest, the little caps they have on the fire, sprinklers in the school. David's a tall kid.
Right.
And he just reached up and tapped one of them, and it fell and broke. He got suspended for a day. They took him to the office, and they only suspended him for Friday, but for damaging school property. Man. And the teacher that saw him said it wasn't, he wasn't trying to break it. He just was showing off that he's tall.
You know what's funny is things have changed a lot. But then again, I'm from a small cow town, too. And the locks on my car were broken. And I couldn't lock it. And I had a .357 Magnum pistol in it. Mm-hmm. And so I took it down to the baseball locker room with me.
Ooh.
And I got caught with it.
Yeah.
I did not miss one day of school.
Yeah. Well, Caleb's junior year, their point guard on Norman North, a security guard saw him pointing a gun in the parking lot in his car driving out of the school and reported it. He was suspended for 3 basketball games from school but it ended up being a water gun. Oh. But, the thing was you had something, you were pointing it, and they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just how things have changed. But, I mean, no speculation. That's it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. How about you? I just can't wait for the guy to get here.
No,
he's still going to be here early, from what I understand, in January.
I'm done talking about that deal unless we find out, what he did. Then I'm sure we'll talk about that. But, he's putting up stats down there like crazy, and it's not a, they play some pretty decent football down there. I mean, they're not a juggernaut. They're not Florida. They're not IMG Academy or anything like that. But they're pretty good. So
yeah. So what else? So let's get into the Kansas State game this weekend.
Okay.
Before we get everybody on, then we'll finish up afterwards. You and I, we both brought it up. I think Coach Snyder's licking his chops at this defense. What do you think?
I think he thinks he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard what he said, and you and I have already talked about it, that he wants to do basically the same thing Army did to us, control the clock and just pound it out on the ground because he doesn't think we can stop him. But I think Army is a little bit more well-oiled. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Kansas State has some talent and they can do some things. But that's all Army does.
Right.
So I don't know that they're going to be successful just doing that. But
well, I think what he is going to do is employ his running game. And like last year, we couldn't stop the quarterback run. Okay. And Oklahoma's offense this year really has been their best part of their defense has been the run defense, even with the Army game. Okay. They're giving up 3.5 yards per rush. That's pretty dang good. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think you can beat us doing that.
No. I mean, I think what he wants to do and I read the whole thing is if they can do what Army did, keep it down to the last minute, that's what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their goal is to keep the offense off the field because, but like Lincoln even said with the Army game, if we get 2 touchdowns ahead, that's a blowout. It's done because we took Army out of their game plan.
Yeah.
The problem is they could only get 1 touchdown up.
Yeah.
And Army was willing to play. But I guarantee you, I would bet anything, knowing Snyder the way that we do and have seen him for so long, if it's 4th down and 2 or 4th down and 3 and he's getting 3.5, 4 yards at a clip, he'll go for it on 4th down. He's going for
it every time.
He will until
well, he's going to have to because we're going to light that defense up like a Christmas tree.
Right.
I mean,
that's all they have is just let's keep the offense over there. And the report I read, it was a Kansas City newspaper. They said when they asked him if had he watched the Army tapes and they said he big lit up smile. You could see it, he had been watching and studying. And was like, that's what we're going to have to do. So, I think and we have talked about in the past, they're going to try to run at the strength of what was earlier in the season, the strength of our defense. Now, Texas, they let Ellen run on us up the middle, which was the same basic play that Kansas State last year ran on us. So it's going to be up to this defensive staff to make whatever personnel and formation changes to get that done, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have some success moving the ball on us. It's not like we're going to shut them out, but if we like we've been saying, get those 5 stops, and I think we will.
Yeah.
It's liable to be 42-14 at half, and then into the game probably in the 50s to 21. I mean,
yeah,
give or take.
But I mean, it's interesting. It kind of made me kind of like go, and it does kind of worry me a little bit because, like I said, if they're getting 3-4 yards at a clip, he'll go for it. If it's 4th and 2, and the first 3 plays were 3 yards, and 2 yards, okay, I'm going to go for it on 4th down. Why wouldn't you? Well, I didn't know this. Listening today and looking at stuff, what's the longest run from scrimmage against our defense this year?
This year?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well,
how many yards do you think it is?
7.
Nope. It's actually 27.
27.
But that's crazy when you think about last year, because we gave up some long runs.
We got gashed up a little bit. I knew they've been doing a lot better this year.
Yeah, the run, with the exception of really, in my opinion, the Texas game, the run defense has been solid.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a bend but don't break kind of deal. So yeah, they're gonna have some success moving the ball, that on us. But it's not they cannot win the game doing that.
No, they cannot. So
even if it's 35-31, they're still not going to beat us doing that.
Right. But if it's 35-31, we're going to be upset.
Well, probably.
Yeah. At least I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to be pissed. We need to beat these guys. We need to beat everybody solidly this week or the rest of the weekend.
I just don't see any way that we can't keep from lighting up that defense because they're not very good.
And saying one other thing before we move on to everybody is, I've listened to several different radio shows, read several different stuff the last couple of days. I mean, everybody's pretty much, if Oklahoma wins out, they're in.
I know, but they keep saying...
They say it's because of their strength of schedule.
Ugh.
I'm like, that just dumbfounds me that our strength of schedule will jump a one-loss Michigan.
Well...
I mean...
I don't know. They keep harping on SEC like they're going to get 3 teams in there, but, when you play teams like the Citadel and Furman and... William & Mary School for the Blind. I mean, good grief. Yeah, Iowa State's better than all of them teams by far. So.
Yeah, but but if you look at every CFP deal out there, ESPN has done them, Fox has done them, all these analysts have done them, and they said, if everybody, if Oklahoma wins out, it's basically. Notre Dame's going to win out. If Alabama wins out, they're in. Clemson wins out, they're in. They might even be able to get in with 1 loss. Notre Dame wins out, they're in. And if Oklahoma wins out, they're in. And if everybody else wins out too, Oklahoma's still in.
I don't know.
But see, Georgia can't win out, okay?
Nope.
Because they got to play Alabama, and they're not going to beat Alabama. If they do, then we're in trouble. Everybody's in trouble.
Yeah.
But they keep saying that, hey, Oklahoma's number 4 if they win out. If the top 3 go undefeated, Oklahoma's that 1-loss team that gets in.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, how can I argue? I mean, I guess the assumption is that Texas would win out until we beat them, and then we're going to beat a top 10 team.
Okay.
So, which is why we want Texas to win on Saturday. We're not rooting for them to win on Saturday.
Yeah, I can't do that.
There's a difference in needing them to win and wanting them to win.
I still got a little bit of self-respect.
Yeah. So, but, yeah. So, I mean, there's still hope. You know.
Do you think this makes some of those teams start playing a better schedule? I mean, you can't play Adams College from Revenge of the Nerds and the Tri-Delts from Animal House.
Yeah.
And expect
Weren't they the Comets? Adams Comets. Or
Adams.
That's right.
Yeah. But I mean, you gotta play somebody.
Yeah.
They want to say SEC's so great, but they're not that great.
Right.
They just think they are, and then I don't know.
Like Tua Tagovailoa, he still hasn't played a whole game yet.
Well, he hasn't played a defense yet
right.
either.
That's what I mean. I mean, he still hasn't played a whole game. That's one of the things I kind of back off of when people start talking, comparing his stats to Kyler's. I kind of want to drop in there. He's only played 3/4 of football every game.
Yeah, who they got this week?
They're off this week, I think.
Oh, well, when they get into that SEC schedule a little bit, LSU's going to play tough. Georgia, of course, that's not until the Big 12 game, right?
Yeah,
they play LSU during the season.
Yeah, they'll play LSU next Saturday.
And even to some extent, I know Auburn's not that good,
right?
But they'll give them, at least we'll see, if Alabama's really still that good,
right? Because
right now they look like world beaters,
right? So
as opposed to wife beaters like they had got in Ohio State. My bad. I'm sorry about that right there.
So there was another Twitter discussion I got into with a couple people today. Okay, this is very important.
Man, I wish I didn't have to work for a living.
It's very important.
On Twitter all day.
Is Skittles candy?
What about it?
Is Skittles candy?
Well, yeah.
No, it's not. It's fruit.
Skittles is fruit.
Skittles is fruit. Is there chocolate in Skittles?
Well, chocolate's not the.
Is there chocolate in Skittles?
No.
Okay, then it's not a candy. It's fruit. They're fruit flavored, therefore it's fruit.
OMG.
Starbursts are fruit.
Are we really having this conversation?
Yes. I'm serious about this. Then
fruit grows on trees. Where does Skittles come from?
Fruit extract. It's fruit.
It comes from
natural
sugar.
And artificial flavor, therefore it's fruit. Same way with Starburst.
Alrighty.
It's not candy, it's fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody had to drop the line on me, is cotton candy?
Or is it cotton? Right.
It's edible cotton.
Is honey, or is it bee poop?
or bee...
don't say it. Don't say it. I don't know. But I feel like after I listened to Jim Traber, I just feel like I lost some IQ points.
You feel dumber for having this conversation now?
Yeah.
Well, that was in Billy Madison, wasn't it? We're all dumber now for listening to this.
Yeah,
Thank you. All right. Well, you want to talk to Adrienne?
Yeah.
Well, let's get Adrienne on the phone. All right, everybody. We got her on the phone, and she is wearing a tank top, a sweatshirt, and leggings. And if you follow her on Twitter, you know what else there is or isn't. There we go. And then we'll just leave it at that. The self-proclaimed goddess of tacos and beer. It's Adrienne. Boomer, Adrienne.
Boomer. How are you guys tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, other than it just being rainy at my house. My undisclosed location house near Houston.
I know, man. I mean, yeah, if you're in Houston, I think you may live in Seattle the way you're bitching and moaning.
If it's not warm and sunny, I'm going to be pissing and moaning. Winter is going to be bad.
She's worried about stalkers. Listen, if you want to stalk me, I'll give you my address. Just DM me.
I am worried about stalkers, but yeah, I'm stalking everybody else.
Yeah, I bet you your son is just what do you call him? What is it?
The dictator.
The dictator. I bet you he just loves mornings at your house right now, doesn't he?
No.
Yeah, because I bet you wake up and just what the? It's cold. It's raining.
Actually, I'm a morning person, but I am a little grumpier when it's cold. But I am still very much a morning person. He's not so much.
What's the temperature down there?
This morning I woke up, it was 64.
Oh, my God.
That's swimsuit weather. Come on.
That is not cold.
It's cold enough that I was angry.
This morning here, I think it was 45.
Well, that's ridiculous.
So...
I put on a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. No, I do not like the cold, and I don't like when it's cold and rainy.
Yeah.
Like, I need some sunshine in my life.
Okay, and another thing is do not tweet us at 7 o'clock on a Saturday night wanting to know if your score was right. I am not going to get up and walk into the podcast palace back here and find it. I was comfortable watching
How was I
football.
to know you were just sitting there doing nothing?
Because it's Saturday. That's what I'm going to be doing.
If you're sitting there doing nothing, you had time.
No, I'm not. No, when I'm sitting doing nothing, I'm not getting up.
It was all of 30 feet. I mean, good grief.
Yeah, she sends the deal. It's like, are my scores, are you not going to check them? I went, no. And, well, okay. I'm like, they're in. I'm not getting up to go back there and dig through them.
I don't know whose side to be on here.
I drank too much bourbon to remember, and so I was counting on you.
Yeah, because your spelling was questionable in a couple of those too. So
my spelling has been questionable all week long with the bourbon.
So, anyway, let's talk some beer. What beer do you have for us this week?
Well, I have some beer from a Kansas City, Missouri brewing company called Boulevard Brewing. And this is an unfiltered wheat beer, and it's American wheat beer. And basically, there's a farmer carrying a bushel of wheat here on the front of the can, and nothing really says Kansas or reminded me of Kansas more than this beer. And it's about as exciting as Kansas, too. It's just a 4.4% alcohol by volume, kind of a regular taste. It tastes like beer, so it's going to be up your alley.
There you go.
I mean, if you took and you kind of added a bit more of a wheat taste to a Budweiser, it's kind of that.
Okay.
So as a whole, it wasn't my favorite beer that I've ever had, but this would be something that a lot more people would like versus some of the other beers that I've had featured earlier on. And the can says it's hazy and lively and iconic. Yeah, okay. I'm not seeing the iconic part other than just maybe you're supposed to be, kind of contributing that to this farmer on the can. He's kind of iconic. It kind of looks like an old school farm guy.
I thought she was just going to say it's windy and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have been to Kansas, and it is windy, and there is nothing there, and there's lots of fields, and I have actually had to, my now ex-husband, his grandparents were from Topeka, Kansas, and I can tell you that, and then his other grandparents lived in Abilene, and I can tell you those two towns, out of all the places I've ever traveled, I didn't really put them back on the map of places I was going back to.
Yeah, I've been to Topeka. I've been to, Topeka. It's a big city, but it doesn't seem like it's a big city. So
it does not seem big at all. It seems very lazy and quiet, and Abilene is super tiny.
You know what I think?
Not super tiny, but it's tiny enough that you just feel like you're in a tiny town. It's a lot like rural Oklahoma, only it's,
worse.
In Kansas.
Yeah, I think Kansas is a place you drive through to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Now, I have been to Manhattan to the game to watch us play K-State a few years ago. Don't ask me the year. They've all ran together.
Was it freezing?
But it was cold, and it was dumb. Because I don't like the cold.
No.
And by the time the third quarter arrived and we were winning kind of heavily, I was like, we need to go because I'm dying. And we left. So that was my experience with that. And then I was like, we're just going to go to football games in the southern region. So it's like Texas.
Just so you know,
the Texas area.
You weren't dying. You weren't dying.
Yes, because I don't do well in the cold. I'm a big baby about the cold. But I do really well in the heat. Like hiking in the desert when it was 102, I was stellar.
Yeah.
My son says that I'm like a lava witch.
A lava.
Yeah, the forest witch thing that's on my Twitter actually came from my son and his friend, and but the witch thing is just kind of a family family joke, but the forest witch thing came from me always camping, and my son's friends said, "Your mom kind of looks exactly what I would expect a witch in the forest to look like." My son said, "Okay, you're forest witch."
Did you take that as a compliment, or did you go?
I didn't care.
Okay.
It didn't insult me at all. So, I mean, he had already called me a lava witch in the desert. So.
And it really doesn't matter. He's walking around as a toad right now, right?
Yeah, he's been hexed, so. But no, I mean, I'm really easygoing about pretty much everything, except the cold.
Except the cold.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this weekend? What do you think is going to happen?
Man, one of those things is it's homecoming, so that's always fun. Another thing is K-State hasn't been doing exceptionally well, so I don't want us to sleep on them, because they are one of those teams that if you sleep on them, they will come and they will embarrass you.
Yeah.
It has happened before.
It happened.
They're also one of those teams, and just like every
Oklahoma
other
State.
team, I've said it several times, they always bring their A game when they come to play. Of course, I'm still not 100% convinced that Bill Snyder's actually alive.
No, he's not.
He's old.
We've talked about that many
I'm just certain
times.
that he might be, not even alive. But they will come and bring their A game, and they've got some things going for them that aren't super bad, but I don't know that it's enough to contend with our offense.
Yeah, didn't you know that every home game up there it's called a weekend at Bill Snyder's?
Yeah, yeah. But
they just roll him out on a two-wheeler.
Yeah, I do think that our offense will be able to run all over them. I'm hoping that our defense holds them way low.
Well, apparently, from what Snyder said on his press conference, he loved the Army game and what Army was able to do, which was, it's not that he's going to come in and run the option, but his plan is going to keep the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands or out of the offense's hands. Get 3.5 yards a clip. Looks like that's what his plan is.
Well, after what I saw from the defense last weekend, I'm hoping that the defense can make that not be a thing.
Right.
I saw some things that I liked. I still saw some things I didn't like, but I really felt like it was overall improvement.
Hey, we had.
I felt like things were meshing better.
We had some 7 and outs, and we had a red zone stop.
Yes.
So
all firsts.
Yeah, all firsts.
Yes. I mean, it was a big day.
Yeah. So we could all be happy with the fact that the way the defense looked, but it really wasn't any different than what we looked playing against them last year, really.
No, I mean it was not, but there's lots of improvement to be made. But there were lots of things I saw that I felt like were clicking better, coming together a little better.
Yeah.
Just and I really feel like the players on defense know the pressure that they're under, and it's not just like a pressure that like they made Mike lose his job. That was not the pressure at all. The pressure is for them to be the caliber of players they were when they were recruited and to live up to those expectations.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what they want to do, but you have to have a coach that's going to allow you those things and allow you to be in the best place to make those things happen.
Correct.
So
you are drinking a unfiltered Boulevard wheat right now, correct?
I am. I actually just finished it up.
Okay. Is it taco viable?
It is. Actually, I had this tonight with some tacos. There's a picture of those tacos on my Twitter timeline. They are pork fajita tacos, and they're pretty simple. They're just pork fajita meat with some onions and cilantro and some salsa verde.
Yeah. See, that's fajitas really aren't hard to make,
No, they're super easy.
Grill up some meat and onions and bell peppers, and boom, you got fajitas.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can do that. Now, I was a little disappointed because it was raining and I didn't go get any avocados.
Ugh.
But Okay, listen, I could live off of beer and avocados. As a matter of fact, I heavily questioned when I went to the grocery store the other day how long I could live off just beer and avocados. But I have to feed my son, and he's not going to be able to eat beer and avocados.
Hey, the kids did it coming over on the Mayflower.
That's right, and he'll be fine. Wiser mom decisions and buy actual food. So,
Well,
I
you
did.
could have got him O'Doul's. There's no alcohol in that. Same thing, the same nutritional value though as beer.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just, lived off some beer and avocados with me.
There you go.
And just, CPS can come by. It'll be fine.
So what's your score for this weekend? I'm writing it down.
My score prediction this weekend is 45-17. I think that's what I picked last time, or somewhere similar to that. But I don't think that. I think that we have the potential to score a lot more points than that. I don't think Lincoln Riley will run up the score, and I honestly just feel like that's one of these things that people don't run up the score against Bill Snyder because they feel bad for him because he's old.
Hey, 2015, we beat them 55-0.
Yes, I know.
Run it up.
Sometimes you just can't help it, though.
Yeah.
I'm going with that 45-17.
So
of course, it's homecoming, so I hope they let them score all the points.
Does that mean anything, really, homecoming?
No, I don't know that it means anything. I don't know. I don't really know.
I mean, they all make, I guess a bunch of, Rob, you're an alumnus from OU.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they have a whole bunch of pomp and circumstance for the alumni?
Well,
for homecoming.
So they don't invite me to
You got kicked out of the celebration.
They're like,
nice.
You need to hang out over there, Rob.
Yeah.
But yes, they do a lot of stuff for the alumni, and it's kind of cool because they have their own stuff. As long as I've never actually been, so I don't know if the ring gets you in or if you have. I'm part of the alumni association, so I have an alumni card, but I'm not sure how you get into those. You probably have to pay some money to be honest with you.
Well, because, you think homecoming, you really think high school,
Yeah, that is. And it's like a big deal, I guess, because they do all their stuff where they do their homecoming king and queen and all that jazz with those weird mum things. Like, I didn't know that was a thing till I moved here to Texas and saw that. And I was just like, wow, okay. Why are they carrying that around? That's dumb, but because that's not how we did homecoming at my high school. It was everybody went to the game, and then after the game, you went to the Civic Center, and there was a dance.
Where did you go to high school at? Can't remember.
Poto High School in Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah, you're a southeastern
Good old
Oklahoma.
LaFleur County.
You're a southeastern Oklahoma girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Home of the Mighty Pirates, the undefeated Mighty Pirates currently.
The Poto Pirates. My son-in-law is from LaFleur.
Oh, okay.
So, the town of LaFleur, or the buildings that make up what they call a town of LaFleur.
Yeah, it's some buildings.
Yeah, that's and I'm originally from McAllister, so that's where I grew up.
Okay.
So we probably stomped on the same paths
growing
up. So everybody down there's seen everybody or related, one of the two.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can't go anywhere without knowing anybody.
So, wheat beer. Do you know what I've found wheat beer is really good with?
No, what?
A pizza, spaghetti and meatballs, anything with an Italian spice to it. I like wheat beer with.
Yeah, I would be more inclined to go with the pizza. I'm not a super big pasta eater.
No.
Like, I will eat it. But it's not something that, like, if I have my choice, I'm going to go. Like, I'm going to go always pizza, tacos, steak, grilled meats,
beer
before I'm going to go pasta.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. What do you think, Rob?
I think that's all.
All right. Well, you guys have a beer on Saturday.
Oh, we
eat
will.
Some tacos.
We're doing burger, smoked sausage, and hot links.
Oh, now see, that sounds good. See, I'm about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Now the Oklahoma State game, Teresa's making a big old pot of chili, and we're gonna have
that sounds good as well.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
You're coming, you're coming to the Kansas game, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. My schedule's weird.
Yeah.
But I've got to try to find. I've already got my beer for West Virginia, but I got to try to find my other beers. Like I haven't been over to make my selection. So as of right now, I have no other beer planned other than West Virginia. So I've got some homework to do.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you don't, Budweiser's always a go-to. The beer of the week's Budweiser.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna always go to Budweiser.
Anyway, well, as always, thanks for your time and
thank
your
you
effort.
guys. And y'all have a good night.
And you too. And we will talk to you next week. Boomer.
All right. Boomer.
Boomer.
All right, Sooner fans. Now it's time for a little bit of cooking lessons. We've got Cooking the Competition, and we got Tim Harless with us. Boomer Tim.
Hey, Boomer Sooner.
How's it going, man?
It's going. I feel like I should have had a bye week this week. I'm kind of jealous of those who get one, but I need one.
Yeah, last week you had a sick kiddo, so you were playing Dr. Dad, were you?
I was doing my best. I would never expect anybody to think I'm an actual doctor, but it's more of hoping nobody else gets it.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't go through that. I go through it every now and then with grandbabies, but that's all I got to worry about.
Oh, yeah.
Is if the grandbabies get here and they get sick, and it's like, great. Now I'm going to get sick, but,
That's exactly right.
But, so what'd you think about the TCU game last week?
I wasn't surprised. I was talking to a couple guys last week, and anytime there's change in the way that it went down, it tends to be kind of a galvanizing event in a locker room. And so I wouldn't have been surprised if they played the same and kind of had the same struggles. And I wasn't surprised that they played so well there in that second half of shutting it down. It was kind of the perfect storm because his offense was not very good. And it was such an emotional kind of rallying point that, I'm convinced it has nothing to do with who it is. It's whether the players can buy into it and like the guy. And that's kind of a millennial stance, I think, of we really like this guy, so we're going to really play hard as opposed to just playing hard because that's what you're supposed to do. But
right.
I was pleased. I was pleased to see, they looked better, at least first game out of the gate. You would have to stand back and go, okay, they did their job, and I think this offense only needs one or two stops anyway. I don't think they can be stopped. They're just so dadgum explosive from all different angles, and now they've got running backs playing that nobody has prepared for yet. So it's just kind of it's a good time to have defensive struggles, which I hate to say because it feels that way for the last several years. But, it tends to look like they're heading in a better direction.
Right. And, like you said, it's been that way really the last 3 years. You hiccup in the middle of the season, and if there's been a team to be able to pull themselves back up by their bootstraps, it's been Oklahoma and get right back into the mix of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
In which,
just think how good we'd look if we had Rodney Anderson. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean they don't have their. Well, I think everybody would agree the best running back on the team, and still look like they don't need him. Or if somebody
maybe
never
in the
watched him
country
before, it looks like that's who their guy is.
Right. But Kennedy Brooks, he's trotting along at 10.9, yards per carry, and that ain't chump change.
No, I mean if you're going to have a running back staff, that's pretty good staff to have.
And he's carried the ball now I think 33 times, so he's doing a good job at it.
We asked Lincoln last night how fast he was, and he never really said.
Yeah,
he just said he's deceptive.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. He's just fast enough. That's the answer.
Yeah, and he just said, it's because we were talking about it watching the game on Saturday. It's like he looks so slow. How is he getting past people? And Rob's question. We go to his show and we always put questions in the bucket to hopefully we have our own little competition going, which I'm winning, by the way. but
not to rub it in. But.
Yeah, if Toby will ask one of our questions, and last night he actually asked both of them, but Rob's was, why does Kennedy Brooks look so slow? Because we know he's not. Nobody slow gets a $160. And how fast is he? And Ling just said he's deceptive, and it's his running style. He's a, what do you say, lanky running style. He stretches everything out, his arm movements, instead of everything being, what did he put? Doggone it, Rob. What's the word I'm looking for? Pulled in, constricted, like running like Adrienne Peterson, arms in. He pulls it. It's just his body movement, but he never did say how fast he was. So
yeah, I mean, he looks like a runner versus those short, choppy steps and compact like you're talking about. But I mean, from what I had heard though, some people who'd seen him, because normal fans, we just don't get to see the day in, day out. He has that. He has from what I heard, that people were comparing his, not style, but just his approach and his giftedness to an Adrienne Peterson type back. That's just not normal. I mean, this guy comes out, and I mean, of course, Adrienne Peterson looked the part from day one. I mean, he was the most freakish looking athlete on the field from day one as a freshman. But that's the kind of qualities they talked about Kennedy Brooks. This guy's got that factor.
Yeah, and it's obvious he does. So.
He's got something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I saw I think it was Saturday was his first negative yard carry. I think he got stopped for, 1 yard behind the line, and that was the announcers were saying that's his only negative carry so far out of 30-something carries. So
interesting.
Wow. He's kind of that old school running back. He's just going to fall forward.
Yeah. But so what kind of food you got cooking for the tailgate this weekend?
I'm a big fan of fish tacos. I think the garage has some good fish tacos. There's several burger places that actually do really good fish tacos, and it's a simple thing. And for me, it's still something easy to do on the grill, as well as easy to do some prep work ahead of time. So it's not so much work when you get there. And so I do just some white fish. I always pack it ahead of time and just put it in kind of aluminum foil packages and season them up. And so I do that ahead of time, and then I grill those the next day. You chop up some onions and peppers, and you put them in a skillet and cook that on the grilled top. And then you use whatever salsa or sour cream or whatever you like in your tacos. But something different for me is I take my tortillas and I get kind of a cookie rack type deal, and you drape those over the individual bars, and it kind of grills up your tortillas as well without burning them or getting them crispy where you can't mess with them. So for me, little lime squeeze on it. I like a little feta cheese, some Mexican cheese on it, and you're good to go. And again, easy cleanup because you basically have a pan. Everything else is cooked, right? Either in aluminum foil or it's self-contained.
And Adrienne will be happy with that because it goes with her unfiltered Boulevard wheat that she recommended this week for a Kansas beer.
Right.
So,
how about that?
Yeah. And she was drinking one and had tacos tonight, so she can attest.
Hey, from what I see on Twitter, I think tacos is more than just a staple for her, too. I think she's a taco fan.
Yeah, she said the other day we were talking to her, maybe just a little bit ago, she said that she's pizza, tacos, steak, and that's pretty much her staples. So,
Hey, that sounds like college. I'm for that. My body probably can't handle that.
Yeah,
anymore,
no, I think the other one was avocados too. She likes avocados. Which,
okay, there you go. There's some health.
Yeah, I don't do avocados myself, but so did you see the story today that on Bill Snyder? What Bill Snyder said?
No, I didn't see it.
It looks like he's pretty excited from watching the Army game. And that looks like, unless he's ploying with everybody, that's his tactic, is to eat up clock by eating up a little bit of ground every play and keeping it close into the end.
Okay.
So what do you think about would they be able to accomplish that?
Well, I think one, it's smart. I think anybody who looks at the team and goes, okay, so we are far inferior as far as athletes go and playmakers. We've got to do something that at least keeps us from getting beat out the first quarter. And the best way to do that is eat clock. So, I mean, he's brilliant. He's not going to get near as much credit as he should, when he's finally done and hangs them up. But I think the difference for them is that would be not a complete change of game plan that they've done all year, but it'd be different than what they've done and prepared for game in and game out up to this point. And so I think, with Army, that's what they do all the time. They're really good at it. You're not going to find a better team that runs that system than them. So I think as far as Kansas State goes, it's just not apples to apples. They don't have that same mentality. They're not used to being that physical. They're going to be physical to be well coached, but to completely change a game plan just based upon opponent, especially on the offensive side, there's just so many variables that go into that with timing and assignments.
Yeah.
And,
well, I don't think I don't think he's going to an option style. I just think his plan is the way he talked, and this was quotes from him. Was the thing was full of quotes. The deal I read was, we can get 3.5, 4 yards a carry. That's eat up clock and keep their offense over there.
Yeah, sure, and that's their only shot, in my opinion. They're not going to beat anybody on big plays unless it's just complete breakdown and chaos. But I think what that does is it plays really well into what OU's trying to do, which is be more physical.
Right.
Their secondary can probably man up on these guys and be just fine. Not that they're not, just the old adage, they're on scholarship too, but that kind of allows you to stack the box and play into that game plan anyway. So,
right.
And then on defense, they're probably going to be pretty solid. They're going to do, be very well coached and play their assignments really well, but there hasn't been a defense that slowed this offense down.
Right.
And Kansas State doesn't have as good a defense as what OU's faced up to this point. So
yeah, and another point with that is even Lincoln said it at the after the Army game was, we get 2 touchdowns up, it's a completely different game, because you have to get 2 touchdowns up on a team that's trying to do that to you to get them out of that plan.
Yeah. And if I'm OU, I'm taking the ball first thing. Give me the ball. We want to go score. Yeah.
And so if they go up 2 touchdowns, and which I think is really what they did back in 2015 when we smacked them up there 55-0, we jumped up on them 21-0, and Kansas State's not a come from behind passing team.
They just couldn't do anything.
They couldn't do anything.
No, that game's pretty much over.
Yeah. So if our defense can get a couple of stops at the beginning, like they did against TCU, jump up there, let's face it, the punt return was the kickoff return was a fluke, but it happens.
Yeah.
And then just some dumb plays that let them kind of jump back in it. But you jump up 21 points on 14 or 21 or 24, golly, points on K-State. They're out of everything. They're out of options.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, 14-17 may be enough.
Yeah.
Before they just can't. They're not, because then it's not leapfrog anymore. You're not just taking blows back and forth, and nothing but respect. It's one of those schools that you can't talk bad about just because of how disciplined and how well ran they've been for so long. As long as basically Snyder's been there, but this is one that you can almost see what's coming and be safe in saying, yep, this is what's going to happen, just from the disparity of athletes on both sides and kind of the direction they're heading.
So what are your thoughts? Me and Rob talked about it earlier on the podcast. Have you seen all the Final Four predictions?
Yeah.
And Oklahoma keeps being the number 14.
Yeah.
Chances to reach the college football playoffs. There's Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma is almost every single one of them.
Yeah.
And when you research it, they say, well, it's because of Oklahoma's strength of schedule. And I'm like, what? How?
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not going to argue
I
it.
thought we got away from that anyway.
Yeah, but all the, so-called, and I'm doing air quotes,
Yes.
professionals say Oklahoma wins out, they're in. They beat it doesn't seem to matter whether Texas is in the Big 12 championship game or not. It's just, I think that's what a lot of people are assuming is Texas in there, and we beat Texas, and that gives us a top 10 win, and
Right.
that catapults us to the number 4 spot. But they're talking about jumping Michigan. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm with you. I'm like, oh, cool, that sounds great, but realistically, I think this could be the year where OU wins the Big 12 and still gets left out. Like that wouldn't shock me.
Right.
Just because, they were one loss last year, and I think the Baker effect, and listen, they were really good last year, offensively,
right.
defensively. I think we're better this year than last year, and so
I hope we are.
But yeah, you and me both. But I think the Baker effect was huge last year, and
Yeah.
so I think that just like we've talked about, does Kyler have a chance to win the Heisman? Well, I think Baker hurts him in that area. I think people were so kind of bad taste in their mouth about Baker because he said he was going to do something and then he backed it up. And
right.
people don't really like that.
Right.
They like the underdog, or they like the guy who talks a lot of smack and then fails. It's something to talk about. They don't really like a guy who goes out and is bold in it and backs it up. And so there's so much that needs to happen, I think, for OU to get there. I think Michigan's got to lose. It would be nice if Notre Dame lost, but they don't play anybody. But I still think that they haven't looked great this year. They've had trouble with teams that shouldn't be in ball games with them, and not just one, but several. And so I think somebody could sneak up on them. I don't see Alabama losing.
Right.
Maybe the NFC East. I think they're just that.
Right.
They're that good, and I don't. The SEC is going to beat up on each other, and so that factors into it. But I just think there's a lot of dominoes that need to fall, and OU still needs to win out. And yes, it would be great if Texas is there because of several reasons. One being because of how highly ranked they'll be, but the other because it's Texas and we owe them. So,
right.
I just think there's so much. You hate to say it this far into the season, but there's so much still to play.
Yeah.
And
well, Rob had
confidently say they're going to be there.
Rob had a good point about Alabama and Oklahoma. Why it would be intriguing. Rob, throw that. The Alabama, Oklahoma. Why we might get in is because everybody wants to, would want to see Tua and
and Kyler in the same game. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
hey, we got the two best quarterbacks, and Oklahoma's good enough to be in the playoffs. We'll be a 4th seed if everything falls like it is. So first round we'll, of course, get Alabama.
And Steve and I were talking about Tua today that he's done. I mean, you can't argue with results,
right?
But how easy would it be to be a quarterback on Alabama's team?
Yeah.
Just you have no pressure. You can hand the ball off. You're going to get 8 yards of carry. You're not going to give up hardly any points because of a combination of things. Your defense is insane good, but you play a really soft schedule at the same time, other than a few teams. And so, put Kyler on that team.
No.
Tua is not more accurate than Kyler. People playing Alabama have to put 8, 9 guys in the box.
Right.
So you've got one-on-one coverage all over the field. Kyler's a better athlete than Tua. He's faster. And so he's more of a dangerous dual threat quarterback than what Tua is, but it's just a perfect storm for Alabama where they've finally got a really good quarterback.
Right.
And it's just making him look so much better comparatively than anybody else who's played there. I mean, you look at like the Adrienne Karens and all these guys who've won championships there, and they just weren't spectacular.
Right.
I mean, they were
complimentary
average at best.
At best, yeah.
They were complimentary of everything they had around.
Yeah, I mean, you hand off to a 6'8" running back.
Yeah.
I could be the quarterback. It doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah. So Kansas State game. What's your score?
What is the points on this? It's like 20 something.
Yeah, it's I think it's 23.5.
Oh my gosh. I think this would be a game to take the over. I think that being at home, I think it's the first game back at home without Mike Stoops, and that's still gonna be something they can ride an emotional wave off of for a while. I'd go 52-20.
52-20.
I like it.
I like it.
And if I'm wrong and we still win, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I won't be one of those Twitter meltdowns that happens because we win by 19 instead of 25.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I really think that we need to win convincingly this week and the rest of the weeks because I as much as everybody says we're in, I think that what's going to concern the committee has been our lack of defense the last 3 and 4 years. And here we got Oklahoma coming in again with the number 1 offense, and the number 67 defense, and so I think that they want to see our defense make a statement, and the only way we can is to hold them 20, 21, and score 50. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Rolling out.
I think this is the year. If outside of Alabama, I don't think there's an offense out there that just worries me.
No.
Looking at them, they're good, but they're not great.
No.
We're not. It's not like we've got, Bryant in his heyday or whoever at Clemson who's just killing it. They become somewhat a little bit more one-dimensional. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. Michigan, we don't know. All these different teams. I think Alabama's offense is really good. So I think OU's defense really kind of matches up pretty well with the other teams. And even though their defenses are good, there are too many playmakers on OU's team to go, yeah, we can shut them down.
Yeah. No, there ain't nobody shutting down this offense. Not even Alabama. Now we may be able to shut down their offense, so it may be 172 to 170 at the end of the night.
I agree.
But hey, it I just don't see anybody. The only way to shut this offense down is to do what Army did, keep our offense off the field. You do that, they can't score. So
yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, hey Tim, we got you down 52-20. Fish tacos to go along with Adrienne's unfiltered Boulevard wheat. But are you baseballing it again this weekend, or are you going to get to catch the game?
We'll catch the game. We're doing a little bit of both. So got a couple more weeks of fall ball season, so we'll be doing both for a while. My son actually plays this week. He has his last football game tomorrow. He has basketball starting Friday, and then baseball. So he'll do all 3 sports this week. So it's kind of like Oklahoma weather around here. A little bit of everything.
Rob, aren't you glad your boys are grown?
Yeah, because I did that. I have 3 though that are real similar in age.
Yeah.
So we bounce from field to field to practice, just all the time.
Yeah. So
absolutely, we're eating it up. I'll have to send you guys some video of him, and you guys can live vicariously through him.
All right. Well, hey Tim, I appreciate it. Be safe this weekend. All right.
All right.
Boomer.
Guys. Boomer.
All right, Sooner fans, and we're ending up our guest with the man, the myth, the guy who will put the game in his perspective. And most of the time, I think we agree with. I don't think we've had any issues with anything he said so far. So, but we've got Hype Man Harry on the phone. Boomer Harry.
Boomer Standard, guys. How are y'all tonight?
Good. How's it going?
Awesome.
Watching some World Series?
Fun. Actually, I'm not watching the World Series. I'm actually prepping and watching a replay of our game from 01. I don't know if y'all remember that one. That's the Hunter Wall play. So
the Kansas,
the Hunter Wall game.
The Kansas State.
Not quite there yet. We're still in the first quarter.
Ah, okay. Man, you are living in the past, aren't you?
Yeah, I love just watching these replays. I also think, guys, before we even get started, I think people forget how good these teams were.
Oh, yeah.
In 2002, 99, 2000, and 2001, and we beat them all.
Yeah.
We actually swept them.
Yeah.
That '99 team could have easily played for the national championship. I'm not sure that 2000 team could have, because we already beat them once. But if they would have beaten us, who knows what would have happened?
Right. Yeah.
In that Kansas City match.
Yeah. But
here's the thing, guys. I don't think that they would have been there with Florida State, just because I think the only reason why we got there is because we not only were we the only other undefeated team, but we were also a named team. I'm not sure Kansas State was quite a named team.
Right.
Even in 2000 and 2001, those were good teams.
Yeah. Right. Well, you're going way back. I'm just going back to 2015. That's what I've been doing all week. That's what we need to do this weekend. Just a 55-0 butt kicking.
Yeah. Well, that was. Yeah. We have to be ready for this, guys.
So,
no doubt about it.
Yeah. So, what's your take on this weekend? What do you got for us?
Well, here's the thing, guys, and it's that since let's start here in this series. I guess we're gonna just walk over the TCU game, which is fine. Oklahoma's 4-2 in Norman in this series, and the two losses are two of the last three home games. Now the third home game that we're talking about is, of course, the Mayfield game, where actually, if y'all remember, that's actually also a game to where who's with the Bengals now? Mixon throws the touchdown to Dede.
Right.
But before that, they knock out Trevor Knight.
Right.
And before that, they I don't know what Football Blake was thinking, dropping the football at the 1 yard line. But in each of those two games, it was a one-score game in each of them.
Right.
And people forget that. Like I said, that team, those teams that I'm watching now, they were good. That team that I'm talking about with Football Blake, that team was really good. You wipe that. If he doesn't drop that ball, we have one loss, and that one loss is to Notre Dame, who ended up playing for the national championship.
Right.
Against Florida State. That's not a shabby season.
No.
Now the thing is, we ended up not having the BCS invite. They ended up getting the BCS invite, and what do we get? We get to play Johnny football in his first ever bowl game.
Yeah.
And we don't need to get into that.
Yeah. It was a good first half.
Was it a good first half?
Hey, we were still in it in the first half, so.
Okay, that'll count.
That's my clarification of that.
But he like I said, 01 it was 37-38. That's the one I'm watching. 2005 was really the only one that was a little bit out of hand, if you will. It was 43-21, if y'all remember. That was Bill Snyder's first farewell tour. I think that when he has the second one, guys, I think that he's going to have to die on the field.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad about saying that, but that's exactly what happened to Joe Paterno.
Yeah.
Is they actually had to say, you know what, man, it's over. You're done. They had to put a stop to it, and it sounds like that's what they're going to have to do. And Penn State is one of those, whether you like them or not, they're one of those teams like I'm talking about with Oklahoma from the 2000 national championship team, where they're one of those helmet teams.
Right.
And what he's got to understand is Kansas State is not. He is not, whether he wants to be or not, and they're not going to let his son take over the program.
Yeah, you don't think they're going to...
That's what he's got to understand.
You don't think Kansas State's going to let him do that?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think that...
They don't have a bunch of people beating down the door to get into Kansas State and coach.
Because that's where they're deadlocked at, guys. That's what he wants. He wants the son to take over, and I don't... And I'm not sure... if it's not his son, I think that there's one more person that would want to. And I don't think... Right now, he's not in a good place to do it.
Right.
I mean, he's done everything else, though. He's won Big 12 championships. He's won ACC championships. He's won national championships over Alabama. That's the one thing Oklahoma has done. And I'm talking, I know y'all who know what I'm talking about, but the thing is, guys, they are so deep at defensive end and defensive tackle that I don't know if Venables even wants this job right now.
I think it'd be a step down, honestly.
I mean, they're so deep that next year we're going to have to a guy that was actually on their team as a defensive and defensive tackle last year is going to be in Norman next year as a West Virginia defensive and defensive tackle.
Right.
That's how deep that position is, and that doesn't include the guys that are coming in next year and the year after and the year after.
Yeah.
They just keep on getting more and more and more recruits down there. Clemson, it's ridiculous.
Right. Well, and why? I mean, he makes good money for a defensive coordinator. That's all he has to do is coach defense.
He makes head coach money as a head coach.
Why? I don't know that Kansas State could offer him as much, much more money than what he's making at.
In fact, they probably
cannot.
cannot.
That's the thing too. Is the money issue? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's his alma mater, isn't it? He went to Kansas State, didn't he? Venables did.
Yeah,
so,
he did. He and Mike.
Yeah, maybe that's that's something that would pull him in. He wants to coach at or take over for him.
Yeah,
but
I mean that's
why would
and like
he?
I said, guys, that is the only reason why I think Venables would want that is because that's where he went.
Right. But
I mean, you can't. I mean, besides those two gentlemen, I don't know about who else would want this job.
Yeah. And the fans
right off the
up
top of my head.
The fans up there want Bill Snyder to live forever and
I know
coach.
they do.
They're afraid to lose him.
He's trying.
Well, I mean, one of Rob and Terry, one of our favorites that used to coach for the Dallas Cowboys also, as well as our beloved Sooners, Barry Switzer. I think he said it the best. This man is not only the coach of the year. He's not only the coach of the decade, he's the coach of the century. People forget how terrible this place was when our beloved, now I guess he has he does have a statue in Bob Stoops.
Right.
And those guys built that program.
Right.
In 1989. They were horrible. They were bad.
Yeah, these kids playing the game. These kids that they're recruiting up there and that we're recruiting weren't alive to see all that. These kids now they know Kansas State is what Kansas State has been, the last 20 years, 30 years, if that long.
Mm-hmm.
Folks like us remember when they were getting drubbed by Kansas. When Kansas was getting drubbed by everybody.
Well, we'll get back to the Kansas State part of it and the OU part of it pretty quickly here soon, guys. But guys, also is a big part of it is Oklahoma, the eyeballs, and all the Lincoln Riley stuff, and the McGriff and that stuff. It's back, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And they're national. And what hurts is that they're national is that a lot of these local kids are leaving. And there's another one that left just about 12 or 13 hours ago. He's out of, let me check, Spencer, one of those smaller schools, and he's going to go to Kansas State.
Yeah.
He's the number one linebacker in the state of Oklahoma. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They get these kids like that. Sproul. I mean, not Sproles, but who's in San Diego now? He's one of those guys. His dad actually played in this game that I'm watching now. Bucket, the Bucket boys. They're from Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
Yeah.
The guys that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State don't want, he goes and gets them and turns them into good, solid players.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, but they've done that. When Kansas State got really good, though, they were coming through Oklahoma and pulling out of Texas and everywhere else too. And I think Kansas State's issue has been Oklahoma coming back and staying back has put up that wall between Kansas State ever becoming as powerful as what they were in the late 90s and the early 2000s. I think Oklahoma has blocked that.
Yeah, here it is, guys. Gavin Porter, 6'2", 200 out of Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he committed to Kansas State.
Yeah.
How many stars is he?
Well, he's we'll have to look that up here real quick.
Yeah.
He's number one prep star. So we'll let me look that up real quick.
Yeah.
But while we're doing that, this back to I guess what you guys really called me is they got to be ready this weekend, boys.
Yeah.
Let's start. Let's start with Tyler Murray in the offense. What they have to be ready for, guys.
Hit it.
Kyler better be careful this week. I know that he wants to get the ball out to Andrews and those playmakers, but this is, and I found this too, that they are. Let me make sure I get this right. Make sure I get this right. Their pass defense is the best that it's been, guys, in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's back. And you look at you just look what they did last week. Now, obviously, their defense is a little something to be wanted, but the other Taylor Cornelius, he's not having a terrible year at Oklahoma State. It's their defense that's the issue, not their offense.
Yeah.
And Kansas State showed them down in the second half.
He did throw 2 ugly picks last game. Ugly picks.
Cornelius.
But
yeah.
But I mean, it's ridiculous that happens like that.
Yeah. But I don't think there's any way. Rob, do you agree that Kansas State can do anything to stop our offense?
Oh, they can't do anything to stop us for sure. The only thing that they have a chance at doing is trying to keep us off the field, like Army did. If they have success running the ball and converting on 3rd and long or 3rd and short and 4th and short, then they got a chance to keep it low, and that's their only hope is to keep the score low.
Yeah.
And somehow be in it at the end.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And back to the offense. That's the defense to the offense, guys. Rob, I hate to agree with you, but that's what they have to do. They have to do that. They have to keep them because that's exactly what Kansas. That's exactly what Army did. They kept the ball and they ran the ball and they ran the ball, and we couldn't stop them. If they do that, Kansas State's gonna have a chance in this ball game. Now, obviously, I really like their rushing attack. We better come ready because remember last year.
Yeah.
And we don't have Superman anymore. He's out for the rest of the year. He's probably out at OU. I don't think he's coming back, guys. I think that he's done in Rodney Anderson.
Yeah.
I really do. I hate to say that, but I just don't see him coming back from the injury again. I think that he wants to at least try to earn some money in the National Football League. And the only way that's going to happen is if he doesn't have another career-ending injury at Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he's coming back either, but.
And honestly, I still think he's at least a 2nd-round pick right now.
Yeah.
He
could be.
Right now?
Yeah.
He could be. But, it's hard to, if Kansas State comes out with the mindset that Army did and their goal is to get 3 yards a carry, it's hard to stop a team. And that's what Army did. It's hard. It's really hard to stop a team that really only wants to get 3 steps and take a knee. They're happy with that because that means your offense is sitting over there on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And they're eating up, we only had the ball for a quarter in the Army game. And I think that's what Snyder, from reading the stuff today, that's what his goal is, hey, I as long as I can get 3 yards, I'm going to be carrying the ball 3 yards.
And go for it on fourth down every now and then.
So, which if they're able to do that, that's bad. But if we're able to step up the defense and the defensive front, get them in 3rd and long, and make them throw the ball, get out of their rhythm, and then get a couple scores up. Yeah. They can't come from behind.
We got to make them throw it. Got to.
Don't you think, Harry?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, so you got your regular seats all ready to go?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you didn't? You didn't go to? You didn't end up going to TCU last week, or did you?
I did not.
You didn't.
No, I did not. No.
So where'd you watch it from, the Casa, or?
I watched it from the Casa de Taylor. Yeah, it was nice. Grabbed my new pup that I got over the summer, and we watched the game together.
Yeah, there you go. Ain't nothing wrong with that. All a guy,
nope.
All a man needs is his dog in football. I got a sign that says that. So.
Right. But yeah, guys, his being the linebacker Gavin Porter. His other invites were our current at Word in Kansas State, and he's at a Broken Arrow. So he's one of those guys that he is the number one linebacker, but he was very, very softly recruited, softly looked at.
Yeah.
And that's probably, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean that's
the type of guys
that's
Bill
what happens in
wants.
Oklahoma. That's
Yeah.
what happens in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You look at our old buddy, who's actually on this team, I think, either that or the year before in Central Trail. You look at his quarterback. Trying to think of the name right now. He's another one of those guys that absolutely nobody wanted. Nobody was looking at him. He comes in, and I guess he's having a good year right now, I guess. I mean, not only I guess, he is having a good year. North Texas is looking for back-to-back division championship.
Yeah.
Can't think of the name right now. But
Justin Fuente?
no, he's the quarterback. No, he's the quarterback right now out at North Texas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, you got me. I don't know who that is. I can barely keep up with who's on our team. So,
but he's another one of those kids at a small podunk, Oklahoma. Nobody wanted him.
Yeah, I think his name is something Davis.
Yeah, and he ends up, he's a starting quarterback now for UNC. But that's like I said. But as far as the team that we're going to play is concerned, Kyler's got to be careful, man. Because, like I said, they're at least thus far defensively, they're back, and then they being ranked 5th in pass defense nationally. And then offensively, just make some stops, guys.
yeah.
That's all we got to do. Make 1 or 2 stops.
Yeah.
Don't let them hold on to the ball for a quarter and a half to 3/4 of the game.
Yeah.
To be honest, guys, I don't think that Kansas State can do that. I think that that's what they want to do, but I don't think they can.
Yeah.
That Army last year to this year is a 10-win team from last year. That's not what Kansas State. Kansas State barely won 5 to 6 games last year. I think they ended up with 7 or 8. That pairs in comparison to 10 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And a conference. I guess it would be a quote-unquote conference championship if they ever grabbed a set and joined a conference, just like Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Kansas State's defense not nearly as good as Army's, I think. In fact, aren't they almost dead last to run defense?
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Oh yeah. They're like I said, their pass defense is really good in this back, but their run defense is that's something that that Kennedy and TJ and those guys, they can have a lot of fun with because they pay so much attention to what's going on in the pass game, but their run trash.
So they're going to have to come out of some of that coverage to stop our run, and when they do, that's when we're going to hit them with Marquise Brown, I think.
Yep. And then so there's that. Let's see what else is new that's coming out at OU. The beer sales are out at OU. Now it's not going to be this season, and at least in football. But I guess it looks like that in basketball, even in the non-conference. But it's not in the non-conference. Definitely when the seasons change to conference play in men and women's basketball, and in the spring sports, major spring sports, football and softball, they're going to start selling alcohol in the stadium and seeing how that works out. And if that works out well, they're going to take the preliminary whatever that word is.
Preliminary.
They're going to take executives out of it, and they're going to make it official and start selling alcohol in the stadium in football season. But this is just for a trial run, basically like what the Aggies did last year.
Yeah.
Polk State.
So are you for the beer in the stadium?
I am a light alcohol drinker. I don't drink a lot, but I do like to drink a Bud Light or so.
Yeah.
So yeah. And the thing is, what they need to do is they need to find people like me that don't drink a lot or whatever, and somehow limit it. Because if you don't limit it, something bad's going to happen, like what happened with Florida State and Alabama last year. Now, given that's different because that was a non-conference tilt, and you can't help what happens in the not non-conference, but an off-campus site.
Right.
You can't help what happens at an off-campus site. That is why, even though it is still quote-unquote an off-campus site, they don't sell alcohol inside the Cotton Bowl, because at that point, the state of the Texas State Fair and the city of Dallas is still responsible for everybody that's there, and that's also why we never and will never see a night game.
Oh yeah.
And it looks like even if it is going to be a rematch between Oklahoma and Texas in Dallas Cowboys Stadium, it's still not going to be a night game.
Yeah, it's going to be 11
o'clock. It's going to be an 11 a.m. kick in Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, which
but
is
you know
ridiculous.
What? It is what it is.
Yeah.
And you know what, guys? That's prime time. That's what you want. The thing that you don't want is that 2:30 slot in there with Alabama or Georgia or Alabama and Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's not what you want. You want you want the best of your ability. What you want in that one on ESPN is you want the MAC teams, or you want our old buddies North Texas, Seth Luttrell, and whatever the MAC conference I think is what they're in or whatever.
Right.
Because what you're going to get in those other two time slots, the 11 a.m. and the 7:30 time slot, is the Big 10 and the Big 12. And you particularly want that, guys, because we did lose that game the first time.
Yeah.
Because now you want to come out and say, well, you know what? We shut them down 55. Theoretically speaking, we blew them out 55-21. Let's say. Well, we beat them 55-21 on national television, and everybody was able to see it.
Right.
Because if you're playing that game with the other Stoops on the other station, to be honest with you, everybody's going to want to see Tagovailoa. Everybody's going to want to see how they match up against Kentucky, how they match up against a rematch with Georgia. That's what they're going to want to see. They're not going to want to see the Big 12 or Big 10 championship games.
Right.
But if you're sitting at home and you don't have a ticket to any one of these games, what you're going to do is you're going to sit back and you're going to watch championship television, Big 12, SEC, Big 10.
Yeah. So
I think that's the way it is this year.
And so, what's your score for this weekend with the Wildcats?
You know what? I think that we can. I said it last week. We can score half 100. I think we can do it again. And as far as TCU is concerned, I said that I would be happy if we helped them to a touchdown a quarter. I'd be happy again with that for Kansas State. I would be really happy with a field goal a quarter, but that's probably not going to happen. So it'd be nice if it would be a 36-9-12, but that's probably not going to happen.
Right.
Bill Snyder's too good of a coach. He's going to get a touchdown in there somehow, whether it's kick return, whether it's punt return, whether it's offense, whether it's a trick play, he's going to get it. So if we can hold them to 20 to 21 points, which is about a touchdown a quarter until it's late in the game and our guys don't care anymore. So I'm going to say about 55-21. That'd be good.
That'd be great.
55-21.
I love it.
And then, guys, whether you like it or not, it's Halloween weekend in Lubbock. Hopefully, it's not a night game.
Yeah.
So that would
There's
scare
plenty
me.
of freaks up there
Halloween
already.
weekend night game in Lubbock would not be fun.
Yeah. Well, it's either going to be 2:30 or 6, so we know that. But it's not going to be an 11 o'clock game, that's for sure. They already know that. So they're just waiting on the TV.
How do they know?
Well, like I said,
They've already heard from the TV. It's either I think
it's either going to be 2:30, 6:15, or 7.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Harry, we got you down. You're going to swing by the tailgate this weekend?
I'll be out there. I'll see you guys out there.
All right,
For
man.
Sure.
Well, we'll see you Saturday, all right?
All right, guys. Boomer Center.
Boomer.
Thanks, Harry. Boomer.
All right, well, we got everybody in but Dan. Dan from Tailgate is out of town. Well, he's always out of town, but
Right.
you know.
That guy lives an exciting life. Like, I just want to go with him every now and then.
But he's out of town working tonight, so he wasn't able to be on. So we hope everybody enjoyed that. So, Rob,
Yeah.
what's your score?
Oh,
for the weekend?
you know, I think we're going to score every time we have the ball. The question is, how many times are we going to have the ball? So, if we can get some stops and get them to punt us the ball or get some turnovers, and we have the ball more than, I think we're going to score every time we have the ball. So literally, how many times is that? So I'm going to go like 49 to, once again, I think they probably get one late. So let's go 45-28, 49-28.
49-28.
And I really don't want them to have those 28 points, because that means to some extent they have moved the ball well on the defense.
Yeah.
So really, I'd rather it be, 10. 49-10. I don't know how realistic that is right now.
I think I'm going to go 63 to 28.
So you think we're going to have the ball a lot?
I think it's going to be just like the Baylor game. We're just going to, that's about what the Baylor game was.
Yeah.
I don't see Baylor being much better than.
Well, I don't either, but I think Kansas State will try to control the ball a little bit more. So
I think if they're smart, which I hope they are, our coaching staff is planning on them doing just that, try to keep the ball and trying to keep the ball away from us. I don't think they can. I think they're working on that run game, working on that quarterback run game, which is what's killed us with Texas. And it's what killed us with K-State last year.
Mm-hmm.
They kept that quarterback run going. So, you got anything else for everybody? Any wisdom to divulge?
Well, there's plenty of wisdom here. I don't think we have time.
All right, everybody. If you are around the game, before or after, we're at the corner of Jenkins and Brooks. Just come by, have a drink, have a snack, or hang out with some other fans. There's a bunch of people, looks like there's going to be there. People are saying they're going to swing by. And so you're more than welcome to come by and visit with us. Say hi or sit down, watch a game. There's plenty of tailgates around us, plenty of TVs around us. Nobody ever frowns on somebody enjoying having a good time. So come on out and watch for posts on Twitter. Then when pretty sure we're gonna try, and everything hopefully will work out, to try to do a YouTube video tomorrow night and drop it out there so everybody can see our pretty faces. Right?
I'm sure they'll be really, really. No, they won't be.
No, they won't be. Anyway, that's it for today. And Boomer Sooner, everybody. Boomer up.
Boomer Terry.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. Hit the subscribe button right now on whatever app you're listening to download every episode as they come out. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube. Boomer Sooner.